Okay, I think we're ready to get started on the main part of our lesson now. So, let's have a look at these fractions here. It says write a greater than, less than or equal to symbol to compare the fractions, okay? I want you to pause the video here and have a go on your whiteboard with the person sitting next to you and have a go at comparing those fractions. I want you to tell me which one's bigger. Is this bigger or smaller than this one? Is this one bigger or smaller than this one? Okay, have a little go. I'm interested to see how you're going to work it out. I would give yourself maybe 5 minutes to do these two questions and then come back and we'll see how you got on. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, how did you get on with these? Okay, there are a couple of different ways that you could have done this. So I'm guessing a lot of you probably found a common denominator, is that right? Did you find a common denominator here? Because the denominators were different. So here I would say that the smallest common denominator of 9 and 5 would have been 45. So you would have had to turn these into 45ths and these into 45ths. So that was one way you could have done it. This one, if you found the lowest common denominator, it would have been 21. So you would have had to multiply this fraction by 3 to turn it into 21s, multiply this fraction by 7 to turn it into 21s, and then you could have compared them. Yeah, that was one way you could have done it. There is another way we could do this, and we can only do it because the numerators are the same, okay? That means the same number of pieces are shaded in this fraction as this fraction. They're exactly the same number of pieces have been shaded in. So I could draw out 4/9, which would look like this. There's 9 pieces altogether, so my bar is split into 9 and 4 of them are shaded. Can you imagine what 4/5 is going to look like? Are the pieces going to be smaller or bigger than these pieces? Yeah, they're going to be bigger, aren't they? So if I draw out this fraction, remember my bar's exactly the same. This time I've only got 5 pieces to fill in. I haven't got 9, so I've got more pieces. So the same number are shaded. There's still 4 of them. So because these numerators are the same, it's a little bit easier to compare. So we can see, I've told you before, haven't I, when we've been doing fractions, that when the denominator is bigger, when it's a bigger number, there's more pieces that you've got to squeeze into the bar. So the pieces are going to be smaller. Whereas if your denominator is a smaller number, you've got less of them to fit in. So you've only got to fit 5 in this bar. So the 5 pieces are going to be a little bit bigger, aren't they? So I know that 5ths are bigger than 9ths. And I can see by looking here that 5ths are bigger than 9ths. So I know that 4/5 is bigger than 4/9 because these are 4 little pieces. These are 4 slightly bigger pieces. So using my method then, have a think about this one. How would you compare these using my method with the bars? So if you think about what 2/3 is going to look like, think about thirds. So there's going to be 3 pieces within your bar. This one's going to have 7 pieces in the bar. So this one's going to have smaller pieces, isn't it? There's going to be more of them and they're going to be smaller to fit them in. Whereas these, there's only 3 of them. They can be quite big. So this is what it actually looks like. So that's what 2/3 looks like, and this is what 2/7 looks like. So 2/3 is bigger than 2/7. You can see that, can't you? And that's because the pieces are bigger. These pieces are smaller, so the fraction's going to be smaller. Only if the numerators are the same. Okay, this only works when the numerators are the same. So what do we notice that's the same and different about these then? So we could say when the numerators are the same, the greater the denominator, so the bigger the denominator, what can we say about the size of the fraction? Sorry, the greater the denominator, this one's the bigger denominator. When the denominator's bigger, the fraction is smaller, isn't it? And then the other way around, if the denominator's smaller, like thirds is smaller than 7ths, then the fraction is bigger. Okay, I hope that makes sense.